Good afternoon. Let us discuss today's current affairs. The Cabinet approved Amendment to Bankruptcy Insolvency Code 2016. The Cabinet approved Amendment to Bankruptcy Insolvency Code 2016. Last year, Bankruptcy Insolvency Code has been made by the Indian Parliament. We all know that we have a problem called a very big challenge in our banking system called NPA, non-performing assets. To minimize this NPA problem, the Government of India already have taken many initiatives. Earlier we have RDD-BFI Act 1993, Recovery of Debts Due to Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act 1993, SURFACI Act 2002, and in 2016 Bankruptcy Insolvency Code has been made. In that code, resolving insolvency and bankruptcy cases to speed up the process of NPA recovery is being done. Insolvency professionals, insolvency professional services, insolvency utility services, and also Bankruptcy Insolvency Board of India was created. But in order to exempt, in order to disallow willful defaulters to avail benefit and advantage out of this code, in order to stop the willful defaulters to avail the benefit out of this code, Government yesterday thought to have an ordinance to exempt willful defaulters approaching the bankruptcy proceedings. So for that, the Cabinet approved an ordinance and the Government now might promulgate, the President might promulgate an ordinance very soon. Next important current affairs today is Brahmos. Brahmos is a supersonic cruise missile, a world-class cruise missile. This Brahmos have a triad now: Army version, Navy version and Air Force version. Army version, Navy version and Air Force version. Yesterday for the first time you have air version of Brahmos, which was launched through Sukhoi 30 Mk1. Sukhoi 30 aircraft, fighter aircraft, we have launched Brahmos air version. Brahmos is a supersonic cruise missile. It is multi-platform and multi-mission. It is capable of reaching many good targets. And the word Brahmos have come from the Indian word Brahmaputra, Indian river, and Moskova, the Russian river. And Moskova, the Russian river. And now Brahmaputra and Moskova put together is called Brahmos. Now Brahmos can be launched from land, sea and air. Brahmos can be launched from land, sea and air. This air version of Brahmos can go beyond 400 kilometers range. Till last year, India have no power to prepare the missiles which are more than 300 kilometers range. In 2016, India became a member in MTCR. In the year 2016, India became a member in MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. MTCR membership means India can now harness the missiles from 300 kilometers to 600 kilometers range. Becoming a member in MTCR is an advantage to India. Now India can harness the missiles from 300 to 600 kilometers range. Apart from MTCR, there are 3 other missile and nuclear technology control regimes in the world. Total there are 4 regimes. One is NSG, Nuclear Suppliers Group. Second is MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. Third is Australia Group. Fourth is Wassenaar Arrangement. Among these 4, India became member only in MTCR. Last year, India tried hard to become a member in NSG, but India's candidature in energy is not yet confirmed. NSG was formed in 1975. NSG was formed in 1975 after India's Pokhran 1, aimed to stop proliferation of nuclear weapons. NSG is aimed to stop proliferation of nuclear weapons. MTCR is to curb and prevent proliferation of missile and unmanned aerial vehicle technology. Missile and unmanned aerial vehicle technology. Last year, India became 35th member in MTCR, and Australia group was formed in 1985. Australia group was formed in 1985 to prevent the spread of chemical and biological weapons. To prevent the spread of chemical and biological weapons, Australia group was formed in the year 1985. Wassenaar arrangement is aimed to prevent. Wassenaar arrangement is aimed to prevent dual use goods and technologies. So, among these 4 international regimes, India became member only in MTCR. That is now helpful for India in Brahmos. Now, air version of Brahmos goes beyond 400 kilometers range. It is very good news for India. Next important current affairs is the first ever Northeast Development Summit. The first ever Northeast Development Summit was inaugurated by President Kovind. The first ever Northeast Development Summit was inaugurated by our President Kovind in Manipur today. It was organized by a Delhi-based think tank. It was organized by a Delhi-based think tank. First ever Northeast Development Summit. The next current affairs is President also inaugurated Manipur Sangai Festival. Manipur Sangai Festival. SCANGAI. Sangai is a name of a state animal, Manipur state animal. It is a deer mostly found in Loktak Lake. Sangai is a deer mostly found near Loktak Lake. It is a deer which is very important. It is also called as dancing deer. It is also called as dancing deer. And in this festival, the Ras Leela, the state dance of Manipur, Ras Leela, the very important dance in Manipur, was also performed in this festival. Apart from this, there is an editorial today again on ICJ, International Court of Justice, and Dalveer Bhandari. From the last 2 days, we are discussing about the appointment of election of Dalveer Bhandari into the ICJ. But today, the news have taken a different shape. That is, this is the first time that Britain don't have a member in ICJ. This is the first time British judge don't find a place in International Court of Justice. Mr. Christopher Greenwood lost he has not at the final round, he was unable to compete with Dalveer Bhandari. The article gave a different perspective. The article said that, the editorial of the Hindu said that British government after Brexit, the entire Britain is losing its credibility in the international arena. This is one incident where Britain lost its candidature in ICJ, but with a single incident we cannot judge that after Brexit poll, Britain losing its significance. With one incident we cannot say that Britain lost its significance, but still this loss is a great loss to Britain and a good gain for India, because our Kulbhushan Jadhav case is in ICJ. Now Indians will have a good position. Now Indians have a good position to present their argument in their Kulbhushan Jadhav's case. Apart from that, we have a very good article on AADMK and Tamil Nadu politics, which is not that important for civil service exam. And the next article is about antibiotics. In antibiotics, the article started with, last week we have dealt with climate change. This week is the International Week of Antibiotic Awareness. This week, the present week which we are in, is the global week for antibiotic awareness campaigns. As you all know, in India, 2 years back we have Red Line campaign to stop the excessive use of antibiotics without prescription. To stop the use of antibiotics without prescription is Red Light campaign. The article speaks about many things. When a doctor prescribes a full course of antibiotics, discontinuing it, not fully using them, is a problem. Second thing, going and taking antibiotics without prescription. Going and taking antibiotics without prescription. Third is, sometimes the accessibility of antibiotics is a question. For example, the article told 4,10,000 children in India every year are dying with pneumonia. 4,10,000 children in India every year are dying with pneumonia. Accessibility of antibiotics itself is a big problem to them. So, this thing we have to address. And one more issue that was raised in the article is the role of quacks, QUACK, the role of quacks in prescribing antibiotics, that also should be condemned. We have National Action Plan on Antimicrobial Resistance. India started National Action Plan on antimicrobial resistance, also we should take note of. And antibiotics, this year's theme of Antibiotics Week is Antibiotics Handle with Care. This year's theme is Antibiotics Handle with Care. Very important theme. You have to handle antibiotics with care. Otherwise, antibiotic resistance will get developed. Finally, human body will get immune from antibiotics, and no drug will save us from any fatal disease. So, restricting and minimizing the use of cautious using of antibiotics is a need of the hour. Next important thing is, there is a very good article on parliamentary system in India. There is a very good article on parliamentary system in India. The article starts that till date, the next session, the winter session of parliament date was not given. But today it was announced that the winter session may start likely from December 15th. But still, the other wrote many points. The points are, in 2008, a small session which was taken for a conference motion, is considered as full session. In the same way, earlier on an average, parliament used to meet for 125 to 145 days. Earlier on an average, parliament used to meet for 125 to 145 days. Now it is not even meeting for 70 days, not even properly meeting for 70 days. In the case of state assemblies, on an average per year they are meeting only 29 days, most pathetic. The average is only 29 days. And in Puducherry, once the session started at 9:30 am. The session started at 9:30 am and ended at 9:38 am. 8-minute session. This is also pathetic. So, the other prescribes there should be a calendar. There should be a calendar. Like in UPSC exams, how we have calendar, there should be a calendar for parliamentary sessions also. And second thing, misuse of rules of procedure. Summoning the session and timings of the session mostly in the government hands. So, most of the times the incumbent government might misuse the rules of procedure. That also was questioned. And it is not always in the hands of MPs to decide most of the things in parliament. It is indirectly decided by the government. In the parliamentary form of system, the key role in the parliamentary sessions, in the legislative processes, should be played by MPs, not by the government. But unfortunately in India, the bad precedent started. Government is taking everything. Government is calling everything. That is the biggest blunder. A next important thing that was mentioned in the article is, while adopting parliamentary form of government in India, while asking for parliamentary form of government in India, B.R. Ambedkar thought parliamentary form of government suits for the diversified country like India. But we have not gone for continuous sessions, everyday sessions of the parliament, because the parliamentarians come from various parts of India. They have to take care of their constituencies also. But unfortunately, in most of the parliamentary sessions, though the sessions are very few, still the qualitative debates, the quorum levels is very pathetic. There is no proper quorum for parliamentary debates in India. Even for most of the debates, most of the people are not attending carefully. Next important article in today, and the article which is crucial for the exam, for prelims and mains and interviews, article on climate change, article on Bonn summit. We all know that last week COP23, Conference of Parties 23, was finalized at Bonn, Germany. Bonn, Germany. There are various issues relating to this article. The first thing is, in Paris deal in COP21, most of the commitments, INDCs which were made are not being properly done. And second thing, Kyoto Protocol. In place of Kyoto Protocol, we want to have New Deal. As we all know, Kyoto Protocol is not successful. The first phase of Kyoto Protocol is 2005 to 2012. The enforcement is from 2005, but the implementation period is Kyoto Protocol 2007 to 12. The second phase of Kyoto Protocol is 2013 to 2020, but most of the phase 1 people, most of the people who went for phase 1 have not gone for phase 2. Most of the countries who adopted phase 1 have not adopted phase 2. In place of Kyoto Protocol, by 2020, by year 2020 we want to adopt new protocol. For that, Bonn is doing exercise, but still there is no agreeable point yet. The Bonn summit emphasized on CBDR, common but differentiated responsibility principle, already existed in the world today. Common but differentiated responsibility principle. The developed countries who already gained environmental benefits, who already use the environment and developed, their responsibility is more than poor countries and developing countries. The developed countries' responsibility towards protecting the environment is more than the developing countries. This is called CBDR. But in most of the CBDR principles, the developed countries are not agreeing. For example, in Green Climate Fund, $100 billion is aimed. Till date, not even $2 billion have been funded for Green Climate Fund. In the same way, green technology, environmental friendly technology is not being transferred. America have come out of Paris deal. America have announced that it is coming out of Paris deal. China, which is steadfast for Paris deal, the article wrote, in the article it was mentioned that in China there was an increase in coal burning. They are preparing electricity, they are going for coal burning, more and more coal fuels. Finally, because of China this time, the stable greenhouse gas emissions have hiked for 2%. So 2% hike we have seen in greenhouse gas emissions with the China's misadventures. And even our agriculture sector is facing all the problems. Our agriculture sector is facing all the problems due to climate change. Unless we address this problem seriously, we are not going to have very good future forward. Sustainable development is the most important thing. And the article also wrote about COP19 summit. COP19, which was held at Warsaw 8 years back. COP19 summit. In that summit, there was a contention for compensating the loss and damage for environmental change. Compensating for the loss and damage for environmental change. That also not been properly addressed. The entire article is very important for exam. Kindly go through that article, copy and paste the article. Next important article in Hindu today is inclusive lessons. Next important article in Hindu today is inclusive lessons. The article is about the conditions of Muslim women in India. It is about the conditions of Muslim women in India. According to 2011 census, 48.1% of Muslim women are illiterates. According to the recent 2011 census, 48.1% of Muslim women are illiterates. Only 2.07% of Muslim women are graduates. Just imagine, according to 2011 census, only 2.07% of Muslim women are graduates. Apart from that, you have many things in the article. One is, we have Ashraf and Aslaf. Ashraf is the rich women, Aslaf is poor women. The conditions of rich women in Muslim community is far better than the poor women. And particularly, if you see Muslim women participation in politics, from last 25 years, there is only one minister at the central level from Muslim women community. From the last 25 years, there is only one woman from the Muslim women community in the central government, that is Nazma Heftullah. Till date, in all the parliaments, there are only 13 Muslim women MPs. In the Indian parliament, in all the parliament sessions, in all the Lok Sabhas, there are, in the entire Indian parliament session from last many years, there are only 13 Muslim women MPs. And the other wrote, encouraging more women to come into local bodies. giving 50% of the reservations for women in municipalities will definitely increase Muslim women participation. Apart from that, the author also wrote about hybrid education for Muslim women. Hybrid education for Muslim women. Generally, Muslim women were sent to basic Quranic education. Apart from Quranic education and madrasa education, there should be hybrid education, that is having CBSE schools, CBSE education. Here, Bihar experimented with this. It is successful. There are around 50 schools in Bihar which gives hybrid education for Muslim women. That type of model can also be done. The article also discussed about Sachar committee report. Inclusion of Muslim women in day-to-day life, employment, education will take a long way for their empowerment. This is the urgent need of the hour. This is the urgent need of the hour. These are the important current affairs today. Thank you very much.